Some people drink champagne out under the stars, while others drink wine leaning over a bar. But all that I need...
Hey guys. All right. Well, let's start with a little bit of assembly today. What can we get done today? I'm not going to get a whole lot done, I don't think, right now, but let's get the piston in and the crankshaft in, and we'll get the exhaust valve timed, get the cam gear installed, and yeah, let's see where we go from there. Okay. So, first of all, what you guys use for oil, that's totally up to you. For lube, for assembly lube, I use 2050 synthetic lube. You know what? If it's good enough for my Harley, it's going to be good enough for this motor, I think. So I usually just put a little bit in a cup when I'm doing assembly, and I apply it pretty liberally. You don't need to be afraid. Let it smoke a little bit after assembly. Who really cares about that? The most important thing is to protect all the metal parts. You don't want any tons of wear at the start. Get lots of lube up in there. Lots in the cylinder. You guys still see that? Probably, huh? My drink's in the way. Oh, that's not my drink. That's my oil. You know what's funny? Hey, check this out. So I got this oil in this red Solo cup. I got my drink over here, and I had actually forgot that I had my drink in here. And I took a bit of a swig of that. I didn't get very far down. It's so thick. It just got past my teeth kind of thing. And yeah, that was a thick one. That's what you call pouring a thick one. Anyway, get yourself lots of lube in that cylinder. Get your piston lubed up really well. Lube your wrist pin up. Like I say, you don't have to, well, you don't have to be crazy about it either, but you know, you don't have to be extremely conservative with this. It'll burn off, or the fuel will dilute it and wash it out too. So there we go. Get a fair amount of piston and rings. Give it a good wipe. I think my hands are dirtier than the parts. You can see the dirt coming off onto the parts just from my hands. Okay. That's your gear, or sorry, your gear and your cam lobe. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me just have a look. Yeah, maybe you can. I'm not really zoomed in too far, but anyway. So on the inside, I will zoom in to show you. Oh, here, crankcase breather is installed. There's nothing special about that. There's just one gasket that goes in and tighten it down, and that's it. So your push rod. If you got a push rod, you're gonna see a couple different ends on your push rod. There's a flat end on your push rod, and there's a rounded end on your push rod. Let me just zoom in for you guys there, okay? And it's not zooming, of course. Anyway, there you go. It's a round end, like a ball type end, and a flat end. Just so you know, round end goes down. It's much easier to set your lash on your rocker with the ball end down on that push rod. Okay, on the inside of the motor, I'm just going to take you guys off the stand for just a sec to show you what it looks like inside here. I'm going to try not to, actually I'm going to take that push rod out. I don't want to bend my push rod. Inside, prop that up on something for you guys. Got your cam followers. Bottom one, just reach down here for you, is for your oil pump. Top one is for your push rod. That's the orientation that you should have. You should also have a pin. You see a little pin there? They should be pinned. You don't want those to accidentally slide out. So that's how those lay. Push rod pushes down here. Here's your stud for your cam gear. Sits there. Just get you guys back on your stand here so you can see what's going on. Okay. Tough for you guys to see, isn't it? But anyway, so your gear, your cam gear, goes this way in, and it goes between your two followers. And just sits in there. You guys can see that. That's where it sits. Push rod, again, like I said, round end down. And you can check it. As you can see, it pushes the push rod up and down. There you go. So that's your cam installed. It's not yet timed though, so I'll show you what's going to happen with that. Eventually, I'll show you what's going to happen with that. Let's see. Could we put? You know, we can put the. We can start the piston in. Can we? Yeah, I guess we'd start. That'd be easier to put the crank in first. So let's put the crank in. Obviously, you got your gear for your crank. That's going to mesh up with your other gear. We're just going to get it in for starters before we're not going to time it just yet. Okay, here we go. So the timing for this is essentially counterclockwise. So you guys can see that. Hopefully you can. I'll try to stay out of your way. So that your push rod should just start to rise. There, right there is where it just starts to rise. Right there. When you're turning counterclockwise. Right there. So that means this actually has to be down. Let's check it again. I can feel it just start right there to rise. And that's going to be your orientation. That's when it's properly timed, right there. If you can see that, guys. Let me see if I can zoom in for you there. That's where you should be seated. See, there's a screw hole here for your ignition plate. So your crank pin, essentially your top, your crank pin piece, your lobe, should be lined up 10 degrees is what they're saying. So. And it should just start to rise. That would be too far because that's at 12 o'clock. That'd be at, you know, I guess you could probably say 10 degrees would be like 1 o'clock roughly. Right there. That's where you want to end up. So that's where you're properly timed. Zoom that back out for you. Okay, so your crank is timed. Sorry, your push rod is timed. Everything is set up the way it's supposed to be. So you can go ahead and put your you know what? It fell out. Actually, it was my push rod just slid right off the follower there. Because I don't want to do this twice. There we go. Okay. Good. That's where we start. If you're looking at your connecting rod, you'll see a mark on your connecting rod. Right there. See that there? That goes to the front. Your oil journal in your rod, your top cap. That should be facing, can you guys see that there? Kind of have to zoom back and forth out for you. That's your oil journal for your bearing. That should be facing your ignition plate, so that goes this way. How you stagger your rings is kind of up to you, but I just split it into thirds. Since it's not a two-stroke, I don't have to worry about the rings, the ring ends, catching any ports or anything like that. So just move this up for you here. I could probably put you up on top of something. Let's try that. Get you up on top of something. See a little bit better. You guys see that? I think you probably can. You can use spring compressors if you, or ring compressors if you want to. I don't feel the need to do that. So I'm just going to stagger them. I'm going to put my oil ring at the front, start that at the front. Just squeeze it off with your fingers and just get it started. Sometimes that first one can be a little bit tough. There we go. Second one, I'll put it off at, roughly 33 degrees from the oil ring. We'll start that one. And our top one, I'll just do the same and stagger it as well. About another 33 degrees roughly. There you go. That's your piston installed. Lift you up, you can have a look. That's it. It's in. Next thing would be to put the rod cap on. Okay guys, just putting the cap on. A couple of spacers that go in there. Again, you also have your alignment mark. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll try to show it to you. It's right there, matches up with the other end of your connecting rod. Again, lube everything up like I've just already done. Don't drop your spacers. If you do, don't forget to put them back in. Take your time. You don't have to rush it. You don't have to force it. I believe the torque on your cap is about 100 inch-pounds. So you could roughly say about 8 foot-pounds, which would be basically just snug. Make sure you got your lock washers on there. Tighten them down evenly. Don't tighten one and then the other. Sorry, don't tighten one completely and then the other. Do it evenly. Just check it. Make sure it turns freely before you finally tighten it up. And then you can snug it back up.